Imagine there's a society, and this is going to be Smurf-like people. They're going to be purple people and green people, and they live together in this society. And the green people, if you took them as a whole, as a population, are more prone to violence than the purple people, as a whole. So don't tell me, but wait a minute, Mr. Horn, I know this green guy and he's really cool and he never gets upset, and I know this purple person who gets upset all the time and tries to beat me up. And the answer is, I know there's a huge distribution within each population. I'm saying if you look at one population and compare it to the other. So look, we've done this before, but imagine then this is a tendency toward violence, and the green people are a little more violent than the purple people. Now, if you look at this, look, everyone is somewhere within 4 to 6 in the violence section. And look, down here, there's a guy named Sam, and he's green. There's a guy right here named Patton, purple. So this purple person's very violent, and this green person's not violent. Now, this violence, this tendency toward violence is wired in. So it's not something they learn. They all live together. But the purple people are more peaceful than the green people. And again, it's not like it's crazy. And by the way, I shouldn't say that they're more peaceful, because they all have learned how to obey rules. It's just harder for the green people. Now also, of course, the green people, the most violent of the green people who have the most violent tendency actually will do violence, and they will find that incarceration, that green people, many more incarcerated, mass incarceration, than the purple people. Now, if at this moment you're saying, Mr. Warren, you're worrying me, I know what you're getting at. The answer is no, you don't, kids. Hold on. Green people are men. Purple people are women. And by the way, I doubt this is true. I think it's much more extreme. I gave you a fairly close one. I'm going to guess that men are much more violent than women, wired by nature. And let me deal with the person who's saying that's not true, Mr. Horn. Go to your progressive preschool and find that boy with a "I am a feminist" jumper on, just destroying things around the preschool, and that poor girl who's wearing her Batman t-shirt going, what the heck are you doing? Why are you smashing everything? Are there girls who are tendency toward violence? Of course, Pat here is. And are there boys who are tendency to peacefulness? Of course, Sam here. But guys, there's a difference. Now, here's why I bring this up. We're about to talk about black and white cognitive differences. And can I just say, no matter if there are cognitive differences, they are going to be minuscule compared to the cognitive differences between men and women, right? Think about this, men and women, and I know some people are already going, Mr. Horn, there are no cognitive differences between men and women. And I'm not talking about intelligence now, I'm just talking about all sorts of things. Is it not true that on a whole, men might be greater risk takers? Might they not be more violent? And again, if you say, no, they're not, Mr. Horn, I'll say, then why do men murder at a 10-to-1 ratio? Why do men rape? Why do men why are they so violent? And again, if you say, Mr. Horn, that's because they were raised that way, I want to say, really? By these progressive families? Here's what I would do. Take Japan, which is a very stereotypical racist country, and then take, I don't know, Iceland or Finland or one of those ones that women do all sorts of stuff, and compare the male to female murder ratio. I'm going to guess it's pretty close. So anyway, what I want to say is, as we start talking about cognitive differences between black people and white people, it's going to be this big compared to the cognitive differences between men and women, and I think we've dealt with the differences between men and women. So here's what we're going to say real quickly. People will say, Mr. Horn, this idea of black people and white people, this is a social construct. And the answer is, really? So here's an experiment. We're going to take a couple of thousand people. We're going to ask them to self-identify as white, black, Asian, or Hispanic. Now, the Hispanic are all going to come from South Texas. Okay, that's important. And then we're going to take those people and look at their DNA, different snips of their DNA, and we're going to see if we can figure out if we can group them, and we'll be able to easily group them. And in fact, there was an experiment, I'll put the PDF on the thing, with more than a 99% accuracy. Those large geographic places, Africa, Asia, Western Europe, and South America, are genetically different. People are genetically different. We can see it. And as we now, the question is, should we be talking about this, Mr. Horn? We might be able to see it, but is this something we should be talking about? Charles Murray says it's going to be coming out because, of course, medical science will be needing to look at that. When you do tests on people, you're going to have to do tests on Asian people and on African American people and on white people, because they're all going to be different genetic makeups, and maybe some people will respond better or not better. I think this is going to be a huge question. So I think in the next 100 years we're going to find out. I think what we're going to find out, and this is sort of the science fiction horror story. In fact, it is a movie, Gattaca. I don't know if you've seen Gattaca, but what we're really going to do is we're going to take your DNA and we're going to go, you're one of the smart ones. You can go here. You're one of the dumb ones. That you can go here. It's going to have nothing to do with color, right? We're just going to be looking for smart black people, smart Asians, smart white people, and the dumb ones. That's the problem I think we're going to have in the future. But let's, we've got almost a minute left. Let's tell Charles Murray, look, Charles Murray, whether you're right or wrong about all this stuff, we're not going to talk about race and genetics. So let's not talk about genetics. Let's just scratch that one out. Not because it's wrong, by the way. I don't think this is wrong. I think we're going to find lots of stuff coming up in the future. But let's just say, look, it's not one of those things. We don't want to talk about the ugliness in front of girls. We don't really want to talk about intelligence in front of black folk. People will get this all wrong. So let's leave that out. I'm still going to say, okay, well, why do we have these incredible differences in test scores between black folk and white folk? And I think the answer is environment. I think it's like a cultural thing. So let's pick that up next time. Culture.